Donald Trump actually said our new military will bring back new focus on fitness. I love the idea that Trump is lecturing these guys on fitness. I mean, if that isn't the fondue pot calling the kettle fat, I don't know what is. Listen up, generals. I want to make something very clear. The Pillsbury Dough president wants you to do Pilates. The only push-ups Donald Trump does are from the side of an ice cream truck. If you get so fat you start breaking escalators, you are unfit to serve in the military.
Kimmel opens with thunderous applause before diving into a razor-edged joke about Donald Trump's comments on fitness in the military. His humor thrives on contrast. The idea of Trump, known for his indulgent lifestyle, promoting fitness strikes the audience as pure irony. Kimmel amplifies the absurdity by comparing Trump's hypothetical exercise regimen to the effort of chasing down an ice cream truck. The physical imagery lands perfectly, turning the topic of military reform into a comedic roast about hypocrisy. Beneath the laughter, there's an undercurrent of critique, the mismatch between rhetoric and reality.
Karoline Leavitt, his press secretary, the woman who keeps insisting Trump didn't draw this or sign this in 2003, she was 5 years old. She was too young even for Jeffrey Epstein in 2003. But she knows. She knows. They're all... I love that these people are so certain he didn't do this. Well, he's never lied before.
The fitness theme continues with a satirical escalation. Kimmel's mock instructions, "Listen up, generals," parody Trump's authoritative tone, while his Pillsbury Dough president jab underscores the contradiction between image and substance. This section is comedy as commentary. It shows how power figures use language of strength while embodying excess. The humor doesn't depend on exaggeration. It exposes truth through parody, reflecting a society where appearances outweigh authenticity.
The only push-ups Donald Trump does are from the side of an ice cream truck. If you get so fat you start breaking escalators, you are unfit to serve in the military. But unfortunately, fantasy is more powerful than reality in this MAGA sphere we live in, which meant it was time for our commander in cheeseburger to weigh in on one of the most pressing issues our military faces today: unattractive.
Kimmel shifts his focus toward Karoline Leavitt, Trump's press secretary. The punchline about her being 5 years old in 2003 cuts deep because it lampoons the blind certainty of political surrogates defending implausible narratives. His comparison to cultural taboos highlights the ridiculous lengths supporters go to justify the indefensible. The segment exposes political loyalty not as conviction, but as rehearsed denial, a perfect setup for Kimmel's later critiques.
We heard from Erica Kirk. She said she forgives the man who shot and killed her husband. And then right after that, we heard from the president who said, "I hate my opponent and I don't want the best for them." How does that square with bringing down the temperature of political violence in this country?
Look, the president is authentically himself. I think that's why millions of Americans across the country love him and support him, including Erica Kirk, who you saw so beautifully was on stage with the...
The tone sharpens as Kimmel mocks the grandiosity of Trump's self-image with commander and cheeseburger. The phrase fuses mock patriotism with indulgence, reducing the idea of military leadership to a caricature of gluttony and vanity. By labeling superficial issues as pressing military problems, Kimmel mirrors the media's tendency to inflate trivial distractions into major news, an intentional reflection of absurd priorities.
Yesterday, there's this video of what seemed to be garbage bags being thrown out of the window of the Lincoln bedroom. That's the White House. The official response from the White House said it was maintenance work being done while Trump was off on one of his many golf weekends. But Trump is even contradicting his own White House now.
There's a video that is circulating online now of the White House where a window is open to the residence upstairs and somebody is throwing a big bag out the window. Have you seen this?
No, that's...
Kimmel introduces the surreal imagery of garbage bags being tossed from the Lincoln bedroom. The humor lies in its plausibility. It sounds absurd yet possible in Trump's chaotic White House. The mock report blurs the line between reality and parody, serving as commentary on how the news cycle surrounding Trump often felt indistinguishable from satire. The imagery of secrecy, waste, and cover-up builds a layered metaphor for moral and administrative decay.
And he's already figured out where to get the money. Trump today became the first president to sue the New York Times. He's suing the New York Times for $15 billion for defamation. $15 billion. Where does he even come up? These are like numbers my children make up when they're talking about money. I thought he said the New York Times was failing. He thinks they have $15 billion? How much would he sue for if he thought they were...
Kimmel follows up the garbage story with a faux interview, punctuated by awkward silences and dismissive retorts. The comedic rhythm mimics a bad press briefing, short, defensive, and full of denials. The unfinished, that's probably, becomes its own punchline, a verbal shrug that perfectly captures the administration's approach to accountability. Never complete, never clear, always evasive.
The president has been hard at work coming up with all sorts of nonsense to distract us from the Epstein files, including, I don't know if you saw this, but he made a major announcement. I am ordering my administration to declassify and release all government records related to Amelia Earhart. Her final tip and everything else about her. Thank you for your attention to this.
The lawsuit against the New York Times becomes the next comedic battleground. Kimmel mocks Trump's exaggerated claim of $15 billion, likening it to a child's fantasy. His incredulity. I thought he said the Times was failing. Cuts through the contradiction between Trump's claims and actions. The humor here is arithmetic irony. If the paper were truly failing, suing it for billions would make no sense, highlighting the president's disconnect from logic.
He hiding? Like, there has to be something in there about it. I can't imagine him doing this because he cares about anyone else. This Epstein list, it's the first time Trump didn't want his name on something. There's a lot of speculation, naturally, including from the writer Michael Wolff, who wrote a bunch of books about Trump. Wolff floated the possibility that Trump may have had Epstein killed himself, which, listen, I know he's done a lot of things, bad things, but I don't think Donald Trump ordered a hit on Jeffrey Epstein. And the reason I don't think he ordered a hit is because if he did...
Kimmel mocks the absurd announcement about declassifying Amelia Earhart's files, transforming what should be a solemn act of transparency into farce. The joke lands because it reveals how easily the administration used spectacle to divert attention from genuine controversies. In a few lines, Kimmel turns a global office into a late-night sketch, illustrating how misplaced priorities can turn governance into theater.
Trump announced the suit this morning. He wrote, "Today I have the great honor of bringing a $15 billion defamation and libel lawsuit against the New York Times, one of the worst and most degenerate newspapers in the history of our country. The Times has engaged in a decades-long method of lying about your favorite president, me, my family business, the America First movement, MAGA, and our nation as a whole. The New York Times has been allowed to freely lie, smear, and defame me for far too long, and that's..."
Addressing conspiracy theories, Kimmel brings in Michael Wolff's speculation about Epstein. His delivery. "I know he's done bad things, but I don't think Donald Trump ordered a hit," balances dark humor with disbelief. It underscores the point that even outrageous rumors seem plausible when chaos is normalized. Kimmel's restraint here is part of the joke. His calm tone amplifies the absurdity of having to deny such a scenario at all.
Any we may have heard of, by the way? 7 wars. Last week it was 10 wars. Now it's 7. Tomorrow it'll be 15 wars. This guy is ending. He ended Star Wars. I don't know if you heard that. He did. Poor Mark Hamill had to move on to other things. Listen, I have an idea of how you can get people to stop talking about releasing the Epstein files. Release the Epstein files.
Reading Trump's statement about suing the New York Times, Kimmel uses the president's own words as comedic ammunition. The exaggerated self-congratulation and melodrama, "Your favorite president, me," require no rewriting. The comedy emerges from transcription itself, showing that reality has become indistinguishable from parody. Kimmel's timing turns a public statement into performance art.
Trump says the Times is run by a bunch of lefties. He claims they're a mouthpiece for the Democrats. And I have to say, I did do today's Wordle, and I don't know if you did, but he might be right. Besides how ridiculous it is, this might be one of the funniest legal documents I've ever seen. It's quite a tongue bath. One page lists Trump's, quote, hundreds of history-making media appearances, including WrestleMania 5, All My Children, Ghost Can't Do It, 2 Weeks Notice, Days of Our Lives, Miss USA, Miss Universe, The Ali G Show, Marmalade, and much.
The punchy suggestion, release the Epstein files, distills Kimmel's satire into a single line of mock logic. It captures his comedic strategy, confronting conspiracy with simplicity. The humor isn't in accusation, but in exposing circular reasoning. The repetition mirrors the endless media cycle. The more secrecy there is, the more suspicion grows, until the only sane solution is absurdly literal.
But this is all another elaborate, made-up Democrat plot to distract us from the historically awesome job he is doing.
I think we're probably having, according to what I read, even from two people in this room, we're having the most successful 8 months of any president ever. And that's what I want to talk about. That's what we should be talking about, not the Epstein hoax.
Right. We are almost at the I never met anyone named Jeffrey Epstein part of this story.
So what they're trying to do with the Epstein hoax is get people to talk about that instead of speaking about the tremendous success like ending 7 wars. I ended 7 wars.
That's a lot of...
Kimmel adopts Trump's tone again, mimicking his insistence that everything critical is a Democrat plot. The comedic exaggeration reveals a pattern, victimhood as deflection. Kimmel's satire functions as both humor and diagnosis. When every critique becomes conspiracy, leadership turns into theater. It's political absurdity wrapped in the rhythm of a stand-up routine. Kimmel's parody of Trump praising himself for having the most successful 8 months exposes self-delusion. By quoting supposed anonymous praise from 2 people in this room, he ridicules the narcissism of self-referential validation. The humor is not cruel, it's surgical, revealing how insecurity masquerades as confidence in political performance. The final humor loop ties everything together, from fitness to lawsuits, wars to garbage bags. The show becomes a mirror of modern political absurdity. Kimmel's craft lies in letting the real words and gestures of public figures provide the setup. His wit simply supplies the punctuation. Each line, while comedic, reveals how far spectacle has replaced sincerity in political discourse. The laughter isn't escapism, it's recognition.